What's up guys? If you bought a new Xbox Elite Series 2 controller and you need to know how to set it up for first-person shooter games, let's go. My name is Wes and thanks for tuning into the channel. Once you finish pairing your controller with your Xbox, it's time to set it up for your favorite game. In this video, we're doing this for a first-person shooter game, and in my case, I'm doing this for Destiny 2. And everything I do here is pretty much basic and subject to whatever you want to do. So let's navigate to the Xbox settings by pressing the Xbox logo on your controller. You can do this by going to the settings shortcut if you have it here like I do, but we're going to do this the normal way. Let's tab over to your profile picture, then scroll down to settings, devices and connections, accessories. If you have used the older Xbox Elite Series 1 controller, you might have an option to copy the same settings from your old controller. If not, let's start fresh. Let's move over to the Elite 2 on the screen, and there should be some introduction telling you about the controller if this is the first time you're trying to use this. Since I've already used mine, therefore I won't see those introductions here. Now let's hit configure. Now I will show you the settings I use and then I will walk you through how I did it. Alright, once we hit configure, you're going to see all the default settings. You'll have 3 of them, but you can pick one. So I'm going to show you my settings. That's the mapping settings that I have on mine. So you can mess around with the buttons if you so choose, but again, I will show you how to mess with all those things. Now for my left stick, now you can just move around with your D-pad on your controller. That way it makes things a lot easier. As you can see, for my primary assignment for the left stick, I have instant for sensitivity curve, but you can choose the other option like aggressive, delay, default, and smooth. But I got my own instant. And then for the curve adjustment, you can mess around with this if you want. But on the bottom for calculation, I keep my own radial, but you can also use those other options. We'll go over this. And then now let's move to the right stick. And as my primary assignment, I also have instant, because once you do it for the first one, it goes automatically to instant for the second one. So everything stays the same. And then for the triggers, this is where you can mess around with the triggers and see how you want to use it for first-person shooters. We'll go over this. As far as vibration, I keep mine off. They move all the way to the left side. That means they are off. And then for the brightness, it is how bright you want the logo on your Xbox controller. Now let's go, if you're trying to do it for the first time, then we're gonna go to a new profile. So I'm gonna create a new profile. You can give it any name that you want. Now we're gonna do this for Destiny. I'm just gonna call this D2. So now I have a new profile. So now to show you, really the D2 is just right there. You can slot it right now, where if you go here and then you slide it, give it to the second slot. Since I already have something on the first slot, I can put this on the second slot. Or you can just leave it alone. If you go here and then just put no slot, you have the profile created, but it's not slotted yet. But for this video, let's go ahead and slot it. So I'm putting it on slot 2. And then now we are going to adjust the settings. So go to that little pencil kind of picture. And then now you can see how everything is already set up as the default. You know, A is doing A thing, B is doing B thing, Y is doing Y thing. Now, for instance, if you want to try to change the A to do something else in your game, like for instance, let's say in Destiny, the A does jumping. So if I want the A to do something else, I'm gonna click on the A, and then I can make the A do what the X button normally does. But we don't want to mess around with that stuff. We're going to leave it alone. And for the shift button, it's another settings that you can use to make it do something you want it to do. Like say for instance, share pictures or something like that. But we leave this alone. So everything you see here, you can see the front and the back of the controller. So you can just mess around to whatever you want. But if you happen to make a mistake, then you don't want that, then you can just go down to say restore default, and then you can go back to default and start over. So now you're done with the mapping. That's the basic. And let's go to the left stick. Now for the left stick, as you can see right now, it's on default. Again, like I say, use the D-pad so you can navigate, because if you're trying to use the analog stick, it will do things, you know. So let's go ahead and go to assignments. You can keep it as primary if you want to, or you can just go use the shift thing I was mentioning before. So we're going to keep it as primary, and then for the default, we're just going to change it to whatever we want. Let's say, for instance, I want to keep this to say aggressive or instant or smooth. You just mess around with them and see which one you like, how you want it. I like mine to stay instant. That means everything goes right away. And then the curve adjustment, I'm going to leave it as is. And then for calculation, I found that the radial is the best because it doesn't mess around with things. Whereas if you do axis independent, the controller might do things you might not want it to do. So I'll stay with radial. But if you want to mess around with independent and diagonals, let's just go ahead and do so. All right, so we're happy with the left stick, so let's go to the right stick. Like I said, you can just do the same thing you did for the other one. I'm gonna put mine on instant. Let's check out the left stick. It says instant as well, and the right one say instant. And then we go to everything is the same for both the right and left, but they don't have to be. You can change it the way you want to. Now that we're done with the right and left stick, let's go to trigger. For the triggers, this is where things get a lot more interesting. So as you can see on the left trigger, it says 0, and then on the right side it says 100. So you can change the tension to whatever you want. So let's say we want to move it to 45. Then as you can see on the screen, that's the 46-degree angle, and that's what you would have. And then when you press the trigger, you know, this is for that setting. But for first-person shooter, we don't want to do that. I want to keep mine all the way to 0 for the top one, and then if you want to move to the right side, just go down on your analog stick, on the left analog stick, and then it will give you that option. Then you move this all the way to where you want it. But for, like I said, for first-person shooter, I'm gonna keep it all the way here. So I got 0 on top and 1 on the bottom, and that's why I want it. Now if you wanna test the trigger, so whenever I press the aim button for Destiny, it goes instantly. Alright, now let's move to the right trigger. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna keep this at 0, so I already show you how to do that. So go down on the analog stick, and then we're gonna move this all the way to the left. And then so you got both of them the same way. And then when you press the shooting trigger, the one you shoot with, and you get this instant. And since you already put the tension on the lower settings on the back of the controller, then you know you don't have to press the button as much. Or another way you could do this, you can just say mirror triggers. Once you're done with the left trigger, then it would mirror the other one, and it'd be the same thing. Now again, we talked about vibration in the beginning, so if you want to change the vibration, first thing you need to do, just start going down here, and then just move the analog stick or the D-pad all the way to the left, and then it will start, you know, doing that for you. You can do that for all of them, and you can feel it while you're doing it. And then for the brightness, you just do the same thing, go down to the brightness part, and then if you want, you can put it all the way down, or you can leave it all the way here as a default. And that's all you need to do to set it up for a first-person shooter. And then whenever you want to mess around with things, you just do the same thing, and you will be good to go. If you have different games, just in different settings. You can do so many settings, but you can only have 3 on the controller to change at any time. But you can always switch them around just by switching the slot and clicking on whichever one that you have down there for whatever game. Anyway, that is it guys for how to set up your Elite 2 controller for your Xbox. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later.
Remember to wash your hands. Remember to wash your